The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Return of the Cackle. That's not it. No, that's not it. The Rise of Skywalker. That's the title for episode 9. I don't know where I got the other one from. I'm not sure, guys. But we're going to talk about cackles tonight. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance broadcast. We're back. We're back, baby. Regular episodes ready to rock your socks off with some Star Wars news. And I promise I'll never say rock your socks off ever again.
Can you not say cackle ever again?
I'll say cackle a lot, probably for the next 8 months. I'm John Hoey. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks to all of our new listeners and viewers who have joined us on the Resistance, whether you heard about us through Star Wars Celebration or word of mouth or on Twitter or the internet. Thank you so much. Welcome. We thank you for joining us. It's great. So, guys, we have a great show. We have the news is rocking now. Well, there's a lot going on. Star Wars is heating up. So this is our news show. So we're excited about that. So let's bring in the crew. As always, it is James Arthur Bainey. It is Lacey Elizabeth Gillerin. I made that up, I think. But guys, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, I would say, this week. Hanging out, loving all the comments and stuff on all the celebration stuff. Like we had a celebration episode, celebration recap, lots of comments saying, glad I was there, sorry I missed it, all kinds of stuff. Good vibes all around. And I can't wait for just the future of everything that we're continuing to doing. The future of the things we're continuing to doing on this podcast. You know what I meant. You guys, you know.
Lacey, what do you mean?
I don't know. I never know. I don't know what he's talking about. But I'm excited to talk about Star Wars, and I really hope John stops saying cackle. I just hate it.
I mean, it's on one of our shirts, so that's going to be tough. But isn't it a fun word to say? Cackle? I think it's so fun.
It's starting to turn into like one of those words.
Crinkle.
Like if Palpatine had a cereal slogan, it'd be Snap Cackle Pop.
You're the worst.
My gosh.
Guys, I have to say though, I know like we did our panel and we produced that. James edited that together. So if you guys enjoyed that in the video version, we had the audio version of that. Then we did our recap of Star Wars Celebration episode. I'm glad that we're now post celebration and we're getting into... You were about to say
cackle. You were about to say post cackle. You were about to say
You just said post cackle.
You were about to say it.
Guys, if you want to comment on this video just to annoy Lacey, for me, just put hashtag cackle. Thank you. All right, guys. Let's hop into the poll results. We're back with polls, guys. It's been forever. So let's do it right now. Guys, we asked you, what was your favorite part of the Rise of Skywalker teaser? 4 choices we gave you. And we said, obviously, what are you saying now? What is this now?
Nothing.
You'll get there.
Why are you interrupting me now?
Go.
James. He's so off rhythm. Okay. We gave you guys 4 choices and said, since there's only 4 options, you can comment with one that we didn't list. But I went for the big ones that took emotion out of people. So we asked you Leia hugging Rey, Lando flying the Falcon, Palpatine's cackle, there it is, and Rey's backflip over the TIE fighter. So here are the results. The lowest vote, which really surprised me, I have to say, Leia hugging Rey, only 7%. 14% was Lando flying the Falcon. I think that got a big charge out of the crowd around us when we saw that. 38% Palpatine's cackle towards the end. And the smidging winning vote was the beginning of the teaser, Rey's backflip over the TIE fighter. So guys, were you surprised with the results? What did you pick? Were you surprised, as I was, that Leia hugging Rey was in the cellar at only 7%?
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised. I don't think that is like a takeaway from the trailer kind of thing.
Really?
I did say, yeah. I did say going into it that I felt like there was going to be something that like really surprised everybody. Like, oh, now it changes everything. And that was the Palpatine's cackle, which is true. But is it everybody's favorite part? It did change things, but is it the favorite part? And that's why I understand the Rey's backflip thing is because like that's something you're actually visually seeing, and like there's something really cool and matrixy and prequel-y about that jump that makes you, just that move alone makes you feel like there is that connectivity to the prequels. You know, I'm just, I understand that one being the top.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. The jump for me shows that Rey's learned a lot and she's trained a lot, which in the previous 2 movies, she's kind of, right out of the desert. The fight at the end of TFA, she's like very just kind of keeping her own. And then in The Last Jedi, even though she's better at fighting, because it's only really been like a couple days, she still, there's like this untrainedness to her. Like the guy lands a kick in and she seems kind of like, let me just do this. Yeah, raw. And then this is like, it's something trained. Like she's going through the motions of something. And I think that jump shows that how far she's come in her journey of becoming a Jedi.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, and this is, I guess, a small thing, but I guess you have to give credit to the director, who'd be JJ here. Her facial expressions, like she doesn't have any level of uncertainty in that scene. Like she looks very stoic. She's breathing, but she calms herself and she looks very confident. Like she knows exactly what she needs to do at all moments. There's no frantic aspect of that at all. And then on a levity side of things, seeing her flip over, it reminds me, you ever see those videos? I don't know if it's like Jackass or something where the guys try to time themselves as someone's driving a car and they try to jump over.
Oh, yeah.
Goes by. That's kind of what that is.
Yeah.
And now, we don't know if she's landing on it. I think she's slicing off the wing, and then whoever that is, Kylo's going to pop out of it and like get ready to fight her. Mask off maybe, because we saw the picture of him in there. We'll talk more about the teaser Thursday. We're going to have a discussion where we go through the whole thing and really hammer that out, because I know you guys wanted that. But I voted for Palpatine just because it really hit me like a brick to the face, like you guys saw in the reaction video. Yeah, so I picked that. But that I agree that it's close. But I was surprised at only 7% to the Leia thing, because it looked good. It looked like a good shot, and it looked like it was something that may have been created mixed with existing footage. So it has me really excited to see what they do with Leia. But I'll get more. I'll add more to that on Thursday. So you guys have to wait for that super hot take, of course. But we did have a best comment, and this guy, I don't know what it is with him, but he always gets the likes on the comments because he crushes these comments. But it's Evan Harris, guys.
I love Evan.
Harris Ev9, the more vocal of the twins, I guess you could say. He said, Rey's backflip. Awesome sequence that also gives us so many questions. Is this the first time we see Rey and Kylo Ren interact since The Last Jedi? What's with the new ship? I need to know. And he probably has to wait a little bit, I guess.
We all do.
It's also half of the trailer.
Yeah, it's a long scene.
Yeah,
like you forget how big the setup is.
Shot that isn't that is literally like halfway through the thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So good comment there, Evan. Thank you as always for that. And again, thanks for coming to our panel and being a Patreon supporter and all that. We appreciate that. But guys, that is it for the poll results. So that means it is time to send it over to James Bainey, because the news is ripe. Resistance report time, James. Take it away.
It's the Resistance.
Ripe.
I don't like that either.
You don't like any words, I think.
Weird.
As long if they come out of my mouth, you don't like those words.
She has a gripe with it.
Oh, man.
I don't know. It's just...
Let's talk about the news.
Okay.
All right. Any moist stories? In the news?
After the episode 9 panel happened, all the cast and crew and everybody that was involved with it went, to a different location where they were interviewed by tons and tons and tons of press. And one of the biggest takeaways, in my opinion, enough to get a Star Wars Newsnet article written out of it, was Josh Horowitz from MTV News. This guy asked a lot of really good questions, including, future stories in after the Skywalker saga was future stories with the new characters, stuff about Palpatine and Kathleen Kennedy answering the question of like, we've known from the beginning. This has been playing the entire time. And one big thing that's getting a lot of headlines is he was asked about, Knights of the Old Republic is a big popular thing among lots of fans. Are there any plans with that? And Kathleen Kennedy coming back and saying, Yes, like in a slight kind of way. Not exactly
that high pitch.
Yeah, not exactly the direct yes, but we talk about that all the time. Yes, we're developing something to look at right now, but that kind of thing. So there's a lot to discuss here. Lacey, I want to start with you on all this. Which one of these three stories stands out to you? What do you think is the most important story out of these three that came out of one single interview?
First of all, Josh gets everybody to say everything. That guy
he asks the right questions.
He gets all the answers from all the celebrities all the time. I kind of think the Old Republic thing is a big deal, only because they haven't really talked about it. It's one of those things that fans want it. They want it. They want it. Everyone talks about it. Everybody's like, oh, this would be great. And it's kind of the first time they've acknowledged that they're listening, that fans want that. I'm just hoping that it's the Game of Thrones guys project, because I think they would kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think she could have winked a few more times. Like, we're working on it. Wink. Yeah.
Josh is like, are you okay? Do you need some eye drops?
Development. Yeah. Exactly.
What if she has Bob in her, Bob Iger in an earpiece, you said too much. Stop, pull back, stop it.
Yeah.
She has some type of thing that she gets zapped every time that
she's like, oh
yeah.
No.
There's always that question of what does in development even mean?
Right.
Aren't 50 different things in development all at the same time? Like, somebody comes along and says, we should do a Boss Nass movie. And they're like, just in the polite sense, yeah, well, I'll think about that. Kind of, it's in development, because that guy could go and leak that story. No, Boss Nass in development. Kathleen Kennedy says it's green.
Was she the one, or was Josh the one that also got her to admit that Rian Johnson stuff's happening?
It might have been.
I can't keep up. There were so many interviews going on,
and a lot of the same programmed answers too. So who did she answer that question to?
Daisy gets the award for the most generic answers of all answers.
Yeah. My favorite is, you just don't ask, and I'll if it's this is a part of the story actually. Don't ask an actor about the future of their character, because they're not going to tell you an answer. So,
I know, that's so silly.
Making the rounds today or yesterday, a bunch of sites picked up one quote from Boyega with Josh Horowitz from Celebration, and for some reason that didn't make the rounds till yesterday. They have him saying that he's not sure that he's ever going to play Finn again. And it's like, well, of course he's not going to say yes, because then Finn survives episode 9 probably. Right. So he's not going to tell you one way or the other. So he'll say, oh, I think that's it. It's like when Adam Driver, after, I make this joke all the time, after The Force Awakens, he's like, are you excited about episode 8? He's like, well, if they make another one, I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, so
or
they're not
when he was at, what was he at? Sundance, where they were like, so are you done filming? He's like, I don't know, am I? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So it depends on how the actor handles it. Boyega's more, he likes to be a little goofy with it, dance around things, and be all like, well,
Adam's
up. Yeah. But they're not going to tell you. So, I mean, I appreciate them trying, and Josh Horowitz is very good. And the reason why he is good is because he asks open-ended questions. He doesn't ask yes or no questions.
Right.
But I kind of want to talk about the future of these characters, because James, she did say, we're planning more stories with these characters, and
yes,
I think if you look at the marketing, the leaked poster, if you look at the mural, if you look at who was on the stage, they are saying these are our heroes now. It's time, and I've said this at our panel, but it's time to say goodbye. Thank you, Luke, for your service, and we held you as a crutch for a while, and Han and Leia, but we've established we trust in these characters now. They can sell Star Wars. So I think that there will be more with these characters. I think Kathleen Kennedy pretty much confirmed that, which makes me think it's a no-brainer, unless these characters, or actors, I should say, pull a Natalie Portman and they're just mentally done with Star Wars. I think all three of these heroes, I'm not sure about Driver. I really am not. And it has nothing to do with, the fate of his character.
He's got so much stuff going on.
Yeah. I think I could definitely see Daisy, John, and Oscar coming back and doing a whole nother trilogy, because they are entering new characters in this third movie, and you got to wonder why, right? They have the new droid, they have Jana. They are entering new characters, and they're not going to be done with them if people like them.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think there's something to be said here about the fact that she says we do plan to continue these stories with these characters. So it has to be an episode 10 that they're talking about or some sort of continuation with this story. But if it truly is the end of the Skywalker saga, now that we're leaving the Skywalker saga behind, period, that means that whatever they do in these next movies, 10, 11, and 12, there are no Skywalkers.
Right?
So that's a definitive answer. So when we look to a character like Kylo Ren, you have to think either Disney thinks of this character as a solo and not a Skywalker, and they're going to continue on with his character as a solo and not a Skywalker, but I don't think fans are going to accept that. Or he's not a part of what they're planning in the future. Not meaning he dies, just saying he's not going, the actor will not be a part of these future stories.
It's true.
Is the only two ways that I can take that.
Right. And Josh also, when he was interviewing Daisy, said, the Rise of Skywalker, you have to mean Ben Solo. And she goes, yes, he is a Skywalker. You're the first person to say this. Or something like that. Yeah. So one would assume that you're completely right, James, is that they're viewing him as a Skywalker because he is in the bloodline of Skywalker.
Too bad they don't have middle names. They could play around so much with middle names.
Well, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, is Wan a middle name?
No, it's his first
I think
name.
it's first name.
Qui-Gon Jinn?
Yeah, I think it's hyphenated, is it not?
Mace Allen.
I wonder if Ben has a middle name. I'm sure it's like Organa.
Mace Allen Windu. No, Joseph Allen Snoke. I don't know.
Joseph A. Snoke.
Yeah.
He may have a middle name. Maybe they'll put that in a comic or something that people will get mad about on the internet. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious about that and all of this, but I get the vibe. I get like the Harrison Ford vibe from Adam Driver. Like he's kind of like, all right, I did it. Like I'm done.
That's a solo, baby. That's a solo attitude.
This is open doors for me. Now I'm ready to.
Yeah, he's like, I already got my Oscar nomination or Oscar nomination. Yeah,
I
like that better. Yeah,
Oscar nomination. So he's I think he's good. But the last thing I want to talk about, I guess, is the Palpatine thing. Her saying from the beginning, the only if they didn't have that concept art of Rey going underneath the Death Star 2 and looking in the throne room, I would say that's not true at all. There's no way he was in the plans. This is just some kind of way to make it work. But maybe it's true.
Couldn't they always say this?
They could always say that. You're right.
No matter what episode 9 was, they could just be like, we've been planning it from the beginning.
Then they send McDermott out there with like with like little keynotes. Like he has like a little flashcard, and he's like, if they ask you, you knew about this since 2015. He's like, okay. Like, all right, fine, just do it. But I'm fishy about it. I'm not sure if this was the plan from the beginning. But I mean,
it's like when John calls things in movies and it happens to be true. He's like, I've been calling this from the beginning.
Yeah. Sometimes I do get things right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it is interesting, though, like if there was, I mean, we've heard that stuff before. I mean, I'm sure we've quoted this 1,000 times, but Adam Driver saying, I don't know, there's a through line for my character that I'm kind of aware of, and we're like, wait, so that yeah. So we're like, oh, so maybe they have been planning, and I don't know. It's kind of nice for them to come out and actually kind of say this, that we've kind of known from the beginning that there were certain elements of the story that we wanted to make sure happened, and we were steering that direction.
James, George Lucas wrote this trilogy back in 1977, so
yeah.
He also wrote that Adam Driver would be shirtless and greased up in the second of the trilogy.
Right. He actually drew a sketch. He drew a sketch of that on a yellow notepad, and he's like, one day there's gonna
have a huge chest.
Right. We don't know who it's gonna be. Maybe like Burt Reynolds has a son. We're not sure, but it'll be someone, and that'll be it. Signed, George Lucas.
Signed.
Imagine if that was the storyboard, though. Like you're flipping through, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And
George is pretty loose about most other details, but this one was rock solid, pun intended.
and it just says,
I love it.
If Burt Reynolds potentially has a son on the thing or something.
Look at Arrow.
Do you guys want to move on to the next story, but
Arrow,
still
big
continue
chest.
to talk about George?
Yes.
Yeah, I tried to segue that.
Well, J.J. Abrams was doing a meeting, and I believe this was with Good Morning America, and he was talking to them, and they asked him some questions about, the process of writing the story and all that, and he said, well, we had to make sure we talked to the right people, right? So he went back and he talked to George Lucas, he talked to Lawrence Kasdan, he even went and talked to Rian Johnson, because he felt that all of these people were instrumental, or not instrumental, but like very important to get on the right path. Like, I need these people's approval. I need these people to kind of help me steer the ship on which way we're going. And I thought it was just a really good article that we did. Grant put this one together, but I wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts? Is this stuff important? Is it important that George Lucas gives a thumbs up, or does it really matter? John, what do you have to say? Well, Lawrence Kasdan was involved, so I already know what John's going to say.
Wait, am I going first?
No, John.
Who talks first?
I was like, good. Have John go first.
You
talk
imagine,
first? I talk
imagine
Lacey,
this,
you talk first? John?
Imagine this dinner. Like, imagine this all happening at the same dinner table, and you got Rian Johnson, Lawrence Kasdan, George Lucas, and J.J. Abrams, and they're all just talking about how to make the best Star Wars movie possible.
It's like Pixar lunch, reincarnated.
That would be incredible to have a camera and take in that conversation.
I bet they recorded some of it for special edition stuff.
Ooh,
I
don't know though. I bet there's a lot of stuff that's nah, don't do that.
No. I'm saying I bet in a behind the scenes thing they're gonna show the making of this movie and JJ meeting with people.
Yeah, like JJ going to the Skywalker Ranch or something. Yeah. And not talking about Mara Jade, of course.
The Force Awakens special features and stuff were really light, though, weren't they?
I think this one they'll probably go heavy though, because it's the final one.
I just want a commentary. Commentary is my favorite part.
The commentaries are nice, especially if it's JJ going, and then in this scene,
I'll never be able to unhear that now. I can't.
I know.
I hate it.
John telling us, I did my research. I went and watched JJ
interviews.
Did,
man. I went to old JJ Abrams interviews. I'm like, he really does that stuff. He's like, and then,
I hate
so
it.
I don't know. This is interesting to me that he said that. I like that he said that because it really shows that JJ Abrams, while he's notoriously a production, I won't say control freak, but he likes running the show, and he doesn't necessarily like to bring too many people in. He knows what he likes to do and what works and what doesn't. But I do like the fact that he cares enough to get this right, and whether that's for selfish reasons because people have called him that he's not a closer, or if this just he cares so much about ending this story the right way.
No coffee for J.J. Abrams.
What's that?
No coffee for J.J.
No
Abrams.
coffee you have to close. Always be closing. But the fact that he did meet with George Lucas will make people happy, and he may have just had coffee with the guy. Who knows? Lawrence Kasdan makes sense because they wrote The Force Awakens together, and then of course Rian Johnson, just to maybe pick his brain. All right, so what made you take my story here, and what do you think if I take this character there? So all that stuff makes sense to me. It's more of I'm glad to hear that it happened. For whatever reason, whether you whether you care that George is involved or not, whether you like Rian Johnson or not, and of course, Lawrence Kasdan is the man. So that's my take on that.
I like in this interview that it was really kind of that confirmation of that loose quote that we had heard of oh no, this is the wrapping up of the 9 films thing, or this is going to be fan servicey and prequel heavy, and he's trying to wrap up all of it. And we're I don't know. We kind of kicked around that JJ likes to wrap up his story. This is his thing, right? But he says in this interview, and I'm quoting here, I feel that the story we told, the goal for this movie, the job was to end not just this trilogy and just to make a standalone film. Of course, it has to work in that way too, but to end 9 films, 3 trilogies. And so the job was to look at all of them, including The Last Jedi, and ask ourselves, what is the inevitability? Where's this going? So I'm dang, man, if that doesn't get you pumped up,
it's
I know, but that like, here's the thing. It's like we already saw what he did with Force Awakens, and for the people that did, which is the majority of people, we loved that movie. He did a really good job at all of this stuff, and coming back and being like, here it is again. Here's new characters, new everything. And so I almost feel like there isn't a single person that I think could be the person to give it to. You know, I don't know who could handle it better than J.J. Abrams. You know, that's why we were all so excited to hear he was coming back after the Colin Trevorrow fiasco.
Who loves J.J. more than Lacey? TFA's her jam.
I do. TFA is my favorite movie. I think it might be my favorite Star Wars movie. I love that movie. Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
Lacey likes going through TSA just because it kind of sounds like TFA.
Let's not start with that, because she had the TSA like VIP. She had VIP everywhere we went. VIP. So I'm sitting there in steerage. I got the dog sniffing my ankles.
And then I made John buy Delta Comfort because I refused to sit in general cabin. so
she could put a sweatshirt over her head. And then so I got the dog smelling my ankles. I'm in the long lines. I got the old people coughing on me, and Lacey just like, hey, I'm on the other side whenever you're ready. I'm like taking my shoes off. I'm doing this.
I did do that. I was like,
I'm doing this thing.
Still over here.
Whoa. With the metal detectors. Oh, what's in your pocket, sir? Take your iPad out. It was a nightmare. And she's over there drinking
like a movie
cafe
where it's
lattes on the other
going
side.
Through all this terrible stuff.
I watched
and then
it. It was
cuts
pretty.
back to her,
He
and
looked
she's
pretty
like,
angry.
eating yogurt and stuff. It's like lounge music.
Lacey's like, where have you been? I'm like,
I kept texting him being like, are you what lane are you in?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm on the highway to hell. That's where I am. Where the hell are you?
That was the TSA spin-off. You guys,
I do love TFA though, and John and I watched it on the plane, and I said this actually. I was on Fangirl Forum. Shout out to Meredith last week, and I told her that John ruined TFA for me forever because he made the comment during the movie at the end when Han and Chewie are talking, and he goes, "Okay, you do every other column, and I'll meet you back here." And John like stops, puts his hand on my arm, and he goes, "You know, that's the last time they talk." And it's ruined the movie for me.
Right here, ready? Detonator. The last word he ever says to Chewie.
It's ruined the movie for me. I can't watch it anymore.
But how brilliant is it though? Because it wasn't one of those
sad.
It wasn't one of those like, hey buddy, I just want you to know, just for no random reason.
Yeah,
I just
it's just normal.
You're just such a great guy, and you've been such a great friend. So I'll see you in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he thinks it's just a normal, like, hey, I'm going out for milk. I'll be right back.
It's heartbreaking. And Meredith was like, you have just ruined this movie for all these listeners. I was like, I'm sorry.
But Lacey, what are you vibing on JJ, meeting with Larry, George, and Ryan? I
love that. I love when I'm a huge lover of collaborative work and like
cats.
Work. Okay. Working together and just like, group projects. I love group projects. So I love that he's going back to the people that built this series, that built this franchise, that built this universe. What better way to end it than with the people that started it? And if he started it by himself, it's kind of like, I don't know, cocky to be like, oh, I can finish this on my own. Because I don't think anybody could do that without George saying something about it. Right. But I love JJ. I love the way he works. I love how he loves feedback. And like, even all the actors were like, yeah, we would sit down with him. And like John Boyega was one of them. He was like, yeah, if I had a question like Palpatine, really? Like JJ would sit down and explain it to me. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. Like someone that takes the time to do that shows that they care. And that matters a lot to me. I don't know, JJ, if you want to be friends, you can find me on Twitter.
I have his phone number. He sends me voice
apparently
memos pretty often.
Yeah. Did you ever call him back? I don't know. We'll have to see if we can get him back on the podcast one day.
But I think it's great. Like, why wouldn't you go back to the people that started it, and especially some of the best creative minds in our world? Like, that's just silly. It's like unused resources.
You definitely get two vibes from this cast working with JJ and Ryan, whereas even in the Director and the Jedi, you got that feeling that Ryan really pushed the actors, and it was more of a like let's be artists and let's execute this and let's do it right. And
He pushed
JJ
them to
is
the
more,
brink.
Yeah, and JJ, it
Mm-hmm.
seems more of a support system and a collaborative type of thing. And they even said, we joke about Oscar Isaac's only quote this whole time is, "We had so much fun, and it was such a fun time," and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I think you get that feeling that they liked that they went full circle back to JJ because of the way, especially with Daisy and John being almost they popped their acting cherry pretty much with him, like their big stuff with him. So they probably will always have that a place in their heart for him. So I like hearing that, and I do like that he sprinkled in all the other people throughout history except Rick McCallum. I think it's perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna bust the bubble a little bit and just I'm gonna toss out this idea.
You got to
guys
keep
can
that
squash it if you
controversial
want.
crown.
Yeah, exactly.
71%.
I mean, how?
Oh my God.
Just not Diane, I believe this, but how much of this do you think was just total like politics?
No.
I mean, this is we're gonna set up a meeting with George. George, you're gonna say that you gave your approval off on this. We're gonna get Lawrence in there too. You know what? It's a good idea. We should probably throw Ryan in there. That way, it makes it look like things are still good with him, and that he actually is important in this whole thing.
I agree, but I also think,
I don't think so.
the conversations
I'm
happened.
just throwing it out there. Ding, ding, ding. Go for it, guys.
I don't know, Lacey. What do you think? I mean, I don't. It could have been a PR thing, but I think it still happened, and I think the input was still there. I don't think he talked to George Lucas and was like, "Did he leave yet?"
Yeah.
All right, screw everything that guy just said. I
don't think it's a PR
I
thing.
agree
I think
with that.
it's a Colin Trevorrow went terribly. No one liked that script, so they had to restart, and they had a short period of time. So they went, "We need to pull in everybody we've got to get this done, and we got to do it the best way possible based on what the fans."
Disaster.
Based on, I know, Jurassic World, whatever, 2 was terrible.
Oh, that Fallen Kingdom was like Sharknado. That movie is so bad.
It was so bad. So bad. And then his other movie was really
Book
bad.
of
which
Henry?
is, yeah. Ugh. So, I think they literally were like, we have a short period of time. JJ, how do you want to do this? And JJ's going, look, there was a certain reaction to The Last Jedi. This is ending everything. I need to pull in these people. And I think JJ as a person is a very collaborative person. Like, he never works on stuff by himself. He's always working with other people. Like, he works on Westworld with other people. He works on
look, he's got
Lost with
Chris
other
Terrio,
people.
who's the unsung guy here. If it winds up being a
Right.
great movie, he didn't even show up on the stage, and he co-wrote the movie. Like, he must be one of those guys who doesn't mind taking the back seat, I guess. Everyone says
right.
JJ, but clearly this guy who is an Oscar-winning writer, I believe, with was it Argo or something like that?
I believe so.
I mean,
that sounds right.
He's probably like, all right, like, I don't need to go to Chicago. That's cool, man. Like, right, So you're right. Yeah, he does definitely collaborate, and Kasdan and TFA and John Kasdan was involved there a little bit. So
I don't think it was a political thing. I think it was, how do I make all these stories make sense in the framework that I have? Let me pull in the people that wrote these stories. So then, like, what I'm doing makes sense with what Rian thought. What I'm doing makes sense with what Kasdan thought. And then bringing back all certain characters like Palpatine makes sense to George. Like, the last thing he wants to do is create a movie that George doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me of like when you're in a band and then you want to invite like somebody who else is like in another successful band, but they're your friend. They're like, dude, you should come out and do guest vocals. 1, and this is the reality, because you think it would be cool. 2, because it would be a good thing to have, like, people are going to like that when they come out. We're going to get a big applause and everybody's going to think this is really cool. So it's like, it's smart to do it on this level, but it's also like, the benefit is that people are really going to appreciate that, and that'll actually work in the benefit of our thing that we're doing,
and
this whole project.
It could have been a two-way street where George could have just called JJ, and that could have been that. No, I'm serious.
Hey man, can I talk to you about
Can
this?
I get some of those Star Wars movies?
I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Like, he could have called JJ and said, like, what are you doing or something, like, what's going on? How's that going? It didn't always have to be a set-up thing by Disney. Like, maybe Rian Johnson visited the set, and maybe Larry Kasdan, JJ reached out to him. Like, it could have been all different situations. We joked about them being at the same table together. That didn't happen, obviously. So it may have been JJ reached out to one person reached out to JJ, one person visited the set. We don't know. But we know that it happened, and it's probably cool that it did.
So if, like, I want to buy a really lame hat, I'm going to call John.
Oh, my God. Why don't you just take your stupid Forces of Destiny dolls that are behind you and throw them in the damn fireplace where they belong?
Yeah.
So angry.
Cancel.
Do you guys want to move on to the trailer?
Let's pop through this last story because it's a very feel good story in my opinion.
Yeah. Sort of feel good. We got the first teaser for the Rise of Skywalker. Did you guys know that? Have you seen it yet?
Wait, what? There's a trailer out?
There's a trailer out.
Oh my god!
It leaked to the public. No. But it was actually cataloged the other day by Deadline saying, like, hey, let's take a look and see how many people actually were watching this thing. And what they came up with was that the trailer itself had been watched 111 million times in a 24-hour period in one day. Now, the reason this is interesting is because it actually...
We're trying to get 1,000 views on our podcast video.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. It was seen... the Force Awakens trailer in that same amount of time had seen like half of that result, and The Last Jedi, while more than The Force Awakens, even it was only like 91 million times. So this is interesting, probably because it is seeing an uphill trajectory in people who are aware and caring and checking out this movie. So they're kind of, this builds into that conversation of like box office and interest and hype and all this other stuff that goes into this. One thing to keep in mind is that and I've been saying for a long time, like it doesn't, 9 is a big movie. It's a big movie, but it's not going to touch. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big production. But it's nowhere near comparison to what Marvel's doing with Avengers and Infinity War and Endgame.
I would argue that's not true.
Oh. Well, in this article, they say that Infinity War was 238 million, which in 24 hours, which is double, and Endgame was 289 million.
Yeah, but is that the full trailer or
so
just the
more
teaser?
Than double.
Because we haven't seen a full trailer yet for 9.
Well,
so I'm questioning, are they comparing the full trailer before the movie or the teaser trailer before the movie? That being said, someone like my dad is not going to see Avengers Endgame, which he'll go see the last Star Wars movie.
Okay, yeah. So what do you think? Am I right in that assessment that this is like uphill trajectory for Star Wars, Lacey?
I would say that I'm the person that watched it 109 million times.
So this movie's
in our
gonna
hotel room
big.
at Celebration at 2 a.m.
John was like, "Can you not?" And it was just like the same clip.
Oh, look, he clotheslined him again with his lightsaber. Did you see it?
No, it was, what part was it that I was watching over and over again? And I was like, "Look at her flip over!"
It
and
definitely
it was
wasn't
just
the cackle.
It was the same noise being like, "Dun, dun, dun."
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I do remember it was obviously Luke because he's the only person that talks. But it was like, for over 1,000, for over 1,000, for over 1,000. Like, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's cool. I think if anything that came out of Celebration, including with this trailer, is that Star Wars is not dead. I don't know whoever said it was. That's ridiculous. And that this is a prime example of like, the more you make people wait, the more excited they get. So like they made us wait for this trailer and title, and like everyone was so pumped. It didn't matter what it was. They would have been excited for it, honestly.
Fart buckets.
And I think it's showing that people are really excited for this movie.
This was our hotel room. Ready? Here's James.
Oh my God. Stop.
Here's me.
No.
Peacefully sleeping. And here's Lacey.
We'll always be with you. We'll always be with you. We'll always be with you. We'll always be with you.
Just constant repeat.
But it's just so good.
And then we got up in the morning and went about
I was
our day.
debunking the Rock.
Yeah, the
in
Rock.
that scene. Yeah.
Patreon exclusive.
That Rock is a stand-in.
Oh yeah, that was on the Patreon page. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have much to say about this because I know we're taking up time here, but it's the staggering numbers. I don't care about comparing it to other movies. It's incredible what these things do, and I think this movie is going to really knock it out of the park. I don't know if it'll reach TFA, but it's going to be up there for sure.
It won't reach TFA, but I do think it will beat Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. So that is what I got to say about that.
All right, Forrest.
That's it, John.
Oh,
there's a rundown that needs to happen, and I need a scoundrel to do it. Are you up for the mission?
Oh yeah, baby. Oh. Hey, let's run down.
Oh, is this a thing? This is a thing now?
Hey,
this is an Arcade Fire song.
Let's run down.
Is it?
In 3, 2, 1, punch it!
Oh my God, that's the first time we've done it together.
Our first time ever.
I have to do it on one because of lag.
Disneyland Galaxy's Edge reservation windows open 5/2, May 2nd, which is today, I think. So there you go. No. Thursday. My apologies. Thursday. So in 3 days from now.
Someone just stopped this episode and is freaking out.
Sorry. On Thursday, for those of you who don't have hotel reservations yet, because if you have a hotel reservation, you automatically get access. You can start reserving your spot for the park up to June 23rd. After June 23rd, you won't need a reservation to go to the park. But just so you know, when the park opens, no Rise of the Resistance yet. Sorry, guys. So the only ride is the Falcon ride, and then you got to go around and drink the Coca-Cola and all that other stuff. No Fastpass either. So you're going to be waiting in line for that Smuggler's Rundown, whatever they call that. Smuggler's Run?
Smuggler's Run, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can go, but...
It's called the Scoundrel's Rundown, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, right. So, I don't know. I mean, it'll open, you get your reservation, but I think maybe wait a little bit, but we'll see. But either way, Galaxy's Edge is opening quite soon, so that's very cool. Very excited about eventually going over there. Guys, Master and Apprentice, the Qui-Gon Jinn Obi-Wan Kenobi book is out, and we have non-spoiler and spoiler reviews over at StarWarsNewsNet.com from Jordan and Kyle, so thanks, guys, for that. I'm definitely reading Kyle's spoiler review, without a doubt.
Sorry.
What happened there?
Lacey went full South Park.
Kale?
I said Cal.
Oh.
Sorry.
Cal.
That was just like a natural thing when I hear that name. Cal.
All right. Whatever works. I'm sure Kyle will welcome that because he's a very nice guy.
Come on, Cal.
Come on, Kyle. All right. The last story here. The Vader Dark Visions #3 stirred up some serious controversy online. It was the comic series in the latest Vader run, which has an obsessive fan really just being obsessed like Harley Quinn after Vader and envisioning herself with him and romantically with him. And then she hit the wrong nerve and he killed her. Pulled a Darth Vader and left her for dead. And the controversial line was him saying, "Get this garbage out of here," or something like that. So I know it ruffled some feathers.
Oh, that does sound like me.
It is Darth Vader, though, and he does kill people. He killed children. He killed mass genocide. So take it however you will. Comics are comics. I mean, I would say if it's not your jam, there's a lot of weird comics out there now. Just avoid them then. You know, just give yourself a mental break and just avoid them, I guess. But either way, to each their own. But that's out there now, and I'm sure there will be more Vader comics down the line because they seem to keep coming out with Vader comics. So who knows? But guys, that is it for the Scoundrels Rundown. Of course, with these stories and all of our stories from the Resistance Report, you can find articles on all of these at our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com. And happy belated birthday to Val Trichkoff, the editor-in-chief and owner of StarWarsNewsNet.com.
Yay, happy
He's 14
birthday.
years old. I can't believe it. He was
started this back when he was 9.
Yeah, he had aspirations.
He's the chosen one.
Yeah, he was the chosen one. He went from pod racing to starting websites. So happy birthday, Val.
He is 14 years old.
The Doogie Howser of Star Wars news websites. So there you go. So happy belated birthday, Val. You are the man. So guys, that is
There's
it.
like 20% of our audience right now that are like, wow.
It's going to go around. Yeah. Can
John's
you
got
believe it?
jokes tonight.
Oh boy, let me tell you. What we do have are questions though. So we're going to end the Scoundrels Rundown right here and send it over to Lacey so we can get to your questions and ask the Resistance. So Chewie, get us out of here, buddy. Makes all two happen.
Wow.
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. You've got Star Wars questions. Hopefully, we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right. So, the first question comes from Canon Junkie at
Jerry.
Junkie Cannon. Hey,
What's
what's
up, buddy?
up? Nice
Met
to hear
him at
from
Celebration.
you. Yeah, he's awesome. He asks, do you think Lando will make a reference to L3 while piloting the Falcon in The Rise of Skywalker?
Oh.
So I'm going to start, ladies first. Canon Junkie, hello. I think that he will because I know, John, I know. You don't want that to happen, but I think it's going to happen because first of all, he's wearing the clothes from Solo. And then,
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He kind of is.
No, it's similar. It's not the same.
Whatever. It's pretty
Solo
similar,
has, like, this black
Canon
thing in
Junkie.
the front.
He
Yeah.
said he kind of is.
And so and I lost my train of thought. So anyway,
Beanie.
yes, I think he will make a call out because it just makes sense. And Star Wars likes to do a lot of those call outs lately of different things and then tie them all together to remind you to watch their other movies and TV shows. So I think they're going to say something about it. I think it could be something as subtle as like, hey girl, and he puts his hand on the side of the ship. It doesn't have to be necessarily like, hey, L3, remember that time we went on that trip and I put you in this ship? It could just be something really subtle. Like, hey girl, nice to see you.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Something that works for both audiences. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Next question is Dekine of Akins at Dekine of Akins. Dekine. Also a patron. What's up?
Hey.
He's actually from Hawaii and loves Hawaiian pizza. So, or he calls it tourist pizza, which is what we've learned. He asks, Luke's voiceover in the TFA teaser fit that film, but was just for the teaser. Any chance that's the same situation?
Mike Tyson?
Parentheses.
Now
With
when,
the voiceover
kind of when. Now
for the
kiss each
teether.
other. Kiss. Now kiss.
We are back fresh with his voiceover for the teaser. James, do you want to take this question?
Yeah. It's kind of Wickens, my pipeline cafe buddy.
Luke
Let's see here.
Skywalker.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker. No, I think so. The question is, there was a line in the Force Awakens teaser that was like, my sister has it. You have that power too,
Now you have that power
right?
too, yeah.
And it wasn't from the movie, but it was something taken from another one of the Star Wars movies and added over this. Is the line
But James,
about
I have
no
to
one's
interrupt
ever
you.
really
I'm
gone?
Sorry. I have to interrupt you.
All right.
He also recorded those lines again.
He did so they can lay it over
They
it.
layered over his old tracks with his new tracks.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
so this question then is
Proceed.
I'm assuming specifically the line of no one's ever really gone, right? Is that taken from The Last Jedi, or is this something that he's going to say again in episode 9? I assume that it's taken from the other movie. I think they're just like, hey, that's too perfect of a line for us not to use it in this whole like Palpatine is back, because I mean, I don't know, like if they wouldn't have said that in the other movie, they probably would have used it in episode 9. It's the perfect dialogue. No one's ever really gone. And I don't really know that that's going to be something that is used in episode 9. But, I mean, there's always that chance, but I actually do think this was probably, I bet you could go back and actually like put them right next to each other and figure out if it was lifted or not. But, yeah, I think it's just for the teaser.
Excellent. Next is Rebel Transmissions at Missions Rebel. And they ask, do you think 9 will tie in the Jakku Observatory? And if Palpatine's contingency plan is related to Rey / and or Palpatine's return? Side note, I personally hope Palpatine doesn't fully return because I feel it lessens Anakin's sacrifice. Now, as we know, John is the biggest Palpatine fan. So, John, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying I agree to an extent about the side note where you hope it doesn't fully return because it lessens what Anakin did, what Vader did, whatever you want to say. I think I brought that up at our panel. Like JJ needs to be careful with how he handles that because that could diminish epicness of
How he handles this situation.
Yeah, right. Of what Darth Vader did to Palpatine.
The resistance.
Yeah. But yeah, so I agree. He needs to be careful with that because then Return of the Jedi gets a little watered down. But in terms of what you're saying about the observatory, when at least me anyway, I felt the desert Jordan thing, whatever, was going to be Jakku because it would make sense to go back because of Rey's our main character. Now you're adding Palpatine in the mix, and it makes me think even more so that it is Jakku because of those things. Now, contingency plan being related to Rey, I don't think so. I don't want Palpatine having anything to do with Rey or how she came about because I think that will diminish her as a character. I think especially JJ saying we're going to explore more about her parents, not necessarily them being anyone famous, but we may find out more about them and what happened. So saying that Palpatine had strings in that doesn't make sense to me. I think Palpatine's going to be well ensconced in the whole dark side element and with Kylo Ren and the Death Star and all that stuff. I don't think it is going to have anything to do with Rey in that regard. And I don't know about Jakku Observatory and contingency plans like Operation Cinder. I don't know how much of that is going to play a role here. They pretty much did it in Battlefront 2. So I know they don't like repeating things through other mediums, and I don't know that casual fans that we're talking about that are going to be making this a box office juggernaut are going to get that too much. So, and I think JJ understands that. So while I do think Jakku would make sense because of Palpatine, and they may sprinkle that in as a tie-in, it's not going to be too a heavy dose of it. But I think I answered every aspect of your question, and hopefully to your liking. So thank you very much, Mr. Transmissions. Hopefully you left us a Resistance Transmissions for Thursday.
Excellent. And last but not least is Eric McGilvray at Eric McGilvray 27, meaning he's the 27th Eric McGilvray. Is
there an at Eric McGilvray? That's what we have to find out.
I don't know.
We got to fix this handle situation.
Been thinking about this since hearing the tie screeching towards Rey in the trailer. There are so many great memorable sounds unique to the saga thanks to Ben Burt. Which one comes to mind first as your favorite? Why don't we all just answer this pretty quickly? James, you're the music band guy. So why don't you start? What's your favorite sound?
Anytime anybody ever says, they talk about the sounds in Star Wars, I always go to the TIE Fighter first.
That's what I go to,
yeah. Secondly, I think of the blaster boing on the thing.
The wire.
That's like an age-old story, the wire thing. And then I think
You're
everybody's
only answering
answer...
one. Just one.
All right,
only
fine.
one. John, go ahead.
No, now I got to hear what he was going to say.
All right, I'll tell it after the fact, after you guys inevitably say it.
Darth Vader.
Nope.
Oh.
I was going to say Darth Vader.
Yeah, I'm going to say Darth Vader's sound because they did it by putting a microphone inside a scuba tank or scuba respirator thing. I think that's just brilliant. And it's so... You hear it and everyone, no matter where you are, knows exactly what that is. And just how he can show up where you just hear him first. Just everything about Darth Vader's breathing mechanism, I think, it's almost a character in itself. And it takes that character to a new level. So 100% how they establish that with the microphone and the scuba tank is pretty cool. So I have to go with Darth Vader's breathing mechanism.
Do you ever wonder if the reason the trailers start with breathing is to call back to Vader?
Maybe.
Probably lightsaber sounds. Those are my favorite when they light them up and then they're fighting. But the initial like zoom.
Do you have a favorite? Because each lightsaber, if you're very careful,
I like when they're touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, Lacey, each lightsaber kind of has its own ignition. Do you think you could recognize which one's which?
I think so.
Yeah, diehard fans
no
can do it.
Freaking way would I ever be able to do that.
I think I could.
Yeah, I think I might be. No. Maybe we should try it. We should try it. Not tonight because we have no time. But like,
I didn't even know that was a thing. They
like Luke's green one, Vader's the blue one.
Kylo's goes zhing zhing.
Yeah.
Zhing zhing.
It doesn't sound anything like that, but it has that same vibe. Yeah.
Yes, it does. It sounds just like that. It goes zhing zhing.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Well,
it sounds
to
just
go back
like
to what I was gonna say. to go back to what I was going to say, the answer that I feel like everybody gives is bong, those seismic charges in Attack of the Clones.
Enough with those.
What?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like everybody gives that answer.
No,
It's a
everybody
really
would
cool
give
sound
Vader.
effect.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I
feel like we're
agree
playing
that people
Family
like
Feud
that.
where they have like the top answers.
Yeah. The seismic charges were cool, but
Yeah.
like it was a one-time thing, and like honestly, who cares?
I
All
feel
right,
like I've
John.
listened to podcasts where they get this question and all three of them say the seismic charges. I hear it all the time.
Oh
anyway,
god!
whatever.
I wish this question got hit by a
New
seismic
poll.
charger right now.
You're so mean, Eric. That was a wonderful question. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't mean because of Eric's question. I mean because we're dragging it out. Eric's
Okay.
question was fantastic.
Sorry to drag it out, Eric. The correct answer is
fantastic.
lightsaber.
Vader's breathing.
Thank you so much for your question. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. You can tweet at us, Ask the Resistance. That's a hashtag. And then you could be on the show, Star Wars related. Back to you, John.
Yes, and to clarify, Eric, I love the question. I picked the question, and that's why I think it's great. So thank you. Yeah, guys, keep those questions coming. Love doing that at the end of the show. It's always like a fun thing to like, get over the discussion parts and all that stuff, and then the show
Super
in a fun
fun.
way. See, right. Guys, make sure you do subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and where else, guys? YouTube, right?
Big one.
Yep. If you guys have noticed, we do have a Patreon page, which we're putting out a lot new content now that we're after Celebration. We're going to be revving it up. My rumor reviews, Lacey does unboxing videos. James is going to be doing some one-offs where he's talking about all varying different things. Of course, our other types of segments that we're going to throw in there, and all the other fun stuff going on that starts at $2 a month. So a moderate-sized tube of toothpaste to join us on Patreon at patreon.com/
$2 for your toothpaste?
Resistance Broadcast if you want to support us there. So thank you very much. Guys, make sure you also head to, I have to thank our generals, of course. So I don't have them in front of me, so let's do it here. Let's see. We have Adam, Mello, Don, Brian, Val, and Aaron. Did I say them all? 6. Bam! Right here. You all live right here, guys. Thank you all so much for your support. You guys are great. And guys, of course, make sure if you're listening to us and you get your news from our podcast, you probably go to StarWarsNewsNet.com. That's our site where we get all the news from. I write there, I edit there, and head there every morning when you're having your Snap, Cackle, Pop Rice Krispies. Get your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. And you guys can also find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey. And like I said, over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James, when you're eating your Rice Krispies, where can people find you on Twitter and stuff like that?
Twitter and stuff like that at MyerChunks, MyerHTRUNKS. And I want everybody really quick to just go back in the episode just a little bit and just skip back to that part where John was like, "Oh, Fallen Kingdom, man, that movie was terrible." And just remember this, John. Did you see Fallen Kingdom?
I did.
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah, I watched it
Yes.
on HBO the other day.
Oh, the other day. Okay, all right.
Yep.
Fine.
I finally-
ruined my
It's
ending.
terrible.
I finally watched it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Lacey.
People can find me
Yeah,
on
no,
Twitter.
I just got squashed.
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Star Wars and have a good time. I hope to see you guys on there. Cool.
She's going viral all the time, guys.
Can you stop? Can you
Guys.
just not do that?
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't yet, make sure you do subscribe, as I said before. And most importantly, spread the word. The biggest way that our podcast grows is by people telling other people. A lot of people, not only do they not know Star Wars podcasts exist, they don't know we exist. Some people don't know podcasts exist. So if you know people who like Star Wars, especially with all these new stuff coming out, we got this fall, The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, Resistance Season 2, Fallen Order, and of course, Episode 9. A lot going on in Star Wars. Tell your friends about the Resistance broadcast. Get together, watch the show, have fun with us.
Say,
and
hey, Star Wars.
We'll have a hell of a
Stare
year.
at John's lame hat for an hour.
Whatever gets your rocks off, folks. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back here on Thursday where we're finally going to have that discussion about the episode 9 teaser. We'll break it down. We'll go through it from beginning to end, give our takes, give our speculation, have a good time. And of course, Will of the Force will be back and we'll try to crack Lacey up with some Resistance transmissions. But until then, enjoy your weeks and we'll see you on Thursday right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.